In order to truly understand God's goodness, we have to understand the definition of good. We generally think that when God does something, it's either good or not good. Well, that's not true. When God does something, that defines it as good, because God is good in his nature. But we can see certain things that show his goodness more obviously than others. Probably one of the most famous stories in the entire Bible is Daniel in the lion's den. And that obviously is an illustration of God's goodness as well, because he rescues him from the hungry lions and saves his life. But there are more subtle ways that we see God's goodness in the book of Daniel. If we look at the reason that those men were in Babylon to start with, we begin to see it. God had made a covenant with Moses and Israel many years before, and they both had responsibilities. He warned the Israelites if they disobeyed, if they fell into idolatry, if they continued to sin against him, he would have to judge them. They did those very things, fell into idolatry, were sinful and rebellious all the time, and God kept warning them through the prophets. He kept showing his goodness to them. They took advantage of that, and finally he said, that's enough, and he judged them by sending them captive into Babylon. Now, the first group that went to Babylon was Daniel and his 3 friends and some other young men. When the second and third groups come, Daniel's already worked his way into a position of power in Babylon. In fact, he becomes second in command to Nebuchadnezzar, so that he is actually running the kingdom on a day-to-day basis. Now, we have to understand that this wasn't what Nebuchadnezzar used to do. When people rebelled against him, he destroyed them. He scattered the people among the other nations that he had captured. With the Jews, he brought them back to Babylon to live. So we see his goodness there in a kind of an unusual way, we would say. God is good, and he performs good deeds even when we don't see them. When God does something, it is good.